Go through the two types of audit that DOT does to companies. The first one that everyone will receive is called a safety audit when you're a new entrant, or you might hear it called a new entrant audit. Now, this is supposed to come within 12 months during the 18-month period that you're being observed once you're a new entrant, which you become after you register and are approved for your US DOT number. Whether you start running or not, you're automatically going to be entered into the new entrant pool. Most of the time these days, that's not going to come within 12 months. Sometimes it might take a year, 2 years. I think the longest that I waited to help a company do their new entrant audit was 3 years. But you should be prepared for it any time. But just understand that's when it's supposed to come. If you register to be an interstate company or an interstate carrier, then usually that safety audit is going to be done by a US DOT investigator, a compliance review investigator for US DOT. If you do it intrastate, then it'll be by whoever your motor carrier oversight agency is. For us here in Texas, it's the Motor Carrier Bureau in Austin. So it'd be a DPS investigator, state investigator. Either way, that's usually done through your SMS portal. So it'll be done. It'll more than likely be done virtually, or not virtually, but at least online. But everybody will receive a safety audit as a new entrant. What everybody doesn't receive is a compliance review. The companies that receive a compliance review are the ones that have problems. Like there's a reason that you're going to receive intervention. The most common reason these days is because you have high SMS scores. So that means you need to be on top of looking at your profile, your carrier profile, to make sure you can identify your problem areas so that you're not going above threshold percentage for any one of your basics. That's usually the number one reason. One of those also that's associated with your SMS profile is your crash rate. So if you have a high crash rate, that could also be an independent factor that would lead to you getting an intervention done, because if you're a small carrier and you have a large amount of crashes, they're going to want to know, like, hey, what's going on here with your company? And then the last one could be complaints that are generated by DOT inspectors, investigators. And the example I usually give the students in class is, if I pulled your driver over and I asked your driver to explain to me the hiring process for him to come work for your company, and they tell me that all they did was fill out an application, got their paperwork done, and then just start driving. So I would confirm with them, like, you didn't get a drug test done? Oh, no, they didn't do a drug test. We didn't have to do that. Or sometimes they might say, I didn't even have to fill out an application. Well, there's certain scenarios when, if your driver or an investigator was somehow revealed that you have one of those factors that would require them to submit a complaint to Washington, then that could be another reason that you have a compliance review generated, because your driver admitted during a roadside inspection that you're not doing pre-employment drug testing. So that could be an additional reason. A safety audit, this one, the problem I have with a lot of, or what I've kind of observed with a lot of companies, is that it's not taken as serious as it should be, because it's understood that it's an initial assessment that FMCSA is making on your company, right? You've only been in operation for less than a year and a half, so they want to see how you're doing so far. So they also kind of define it here. If you'll read, it's an examination of your operation to provide educational and technical assistance. But what's not understood is that if you have severe enough violations, you could fail it then and there. With a safety audit, it's not, you're not going to receive a safety rating. So it's either pass or fail. They will give you some leeway, like if you have issues, they will also give you time to implement some corrective action. But when it comes to your new entrant safety audit, it's only a pass or fail. And all they're doing is making an assessment to see how far along you are in your operation to make sure that you're complying and that you have adequate, what they call safety management controls. A compliance review means an on-site examination of a carrier's operations, such as driver hours of service, maintenance inspection, driver qualification, etc. So in this case, with the compliance review, number one, it's going to be done on-site. So when you get intervened, when you have problems, they're going to come do your audit in person. And at this point, they know and identify that you have problems in your company. So you'd want to make sure that you're taking proactive measures to correct whatever problem. So let's say, for example, if maintenance was was the reason that you had the review generated, they're going to want to see at the time they come, what actions are you taking to correct the maintenance issues that we already know you have. And that's what they're going to want to see. And they're there to make sure that you have adequate safety controls and that what you've implemented meets safety fitness standard. Because always remember that when it comes to the FMCSA regulations, all they want you to do is meet the minimal standards. In either case, for a new entrant audit or for compliance review, what they're looking at is what they call safety management controls. That means your systems, policies, programs, practices, procedures that you have implemented in your company to ensure that you're complying with the regulations. And that's what they're going to want to see at the time. They understand you're going to have problems. I mean, every carrier does, but they want to make sure that you're taking the necessary measures to correct the problem that you already have. And that's so whatever issues you've identified in your company, you've got to find a way to make sure that you implement something to show them that you're taking proactive measures to prevent that problem from becoming worse, or even better, that you're eliminating it altogether. But those are the two types of audits that DOT does.